Okay, let's go ahead and get started. This will not take long at all. The assignment for this week is to come up with a budget for your Gemstar Productions company, as well as coming up with a listing of 10 internal controls. Now, internal controls are procedures. We talked about them late last week. They're procedures that are designed to either protect the data going into the financial statements or to protect the company's assets. So, for instance, you might have a requirement that all bank accounts need to be reconciled on a monthly basis. And that reconciliation needs to be reviewed and approved by a manager. Okay, well, that's an internal control. It's to make sure that the balance that the bank says you have, you can tie that back to the balance that you say you have, and anything in between are reconciling items. And the person reviewing it, after you've done the reconciliation, can, question about the various reconciling items and go look at proof to make sure that they are indeed reconciling items. So that's an internal control. So you're going to be required to come up with 10 of those. And the way you can do it is you can do a search on financial controls. You can do a search on internal controls or accounting controls. Any of those three will work. And just go ahead and list the controls on a Word document. Remember that there's three parts to this. One is to name the control. The second is to explain what it's supposed to do. And the third part is to explain how you, as the owner of the business or the chief executive officer, would know that your employees are following the internal control. Okay, so there's bank reconciliations. If the control was the monthly, the accounts get reconciled and get reviewed and approved by a manager. Well, if you're the owner of the business, the only thing you have to do is simply go pull the file folder that has all the bank reconciliations in it and do indeed look to see if it has the manager's initial on it and date. It's just that simple. All right, so that's the first part. The second part is the internal controls. And you are required to, the second part is the budget. You are required to put in a budget for your Gemstar company for your profit and loss accounts. Now, that's only a total of 8 accounts. And although many of you have had your assignment 2 graded and received hundreds, some of you have not had yours graded yet. So when you get the results, if you did not do as well as you would have liked, then attached to this week 3 assignment, you can see there's a spreadsheet here. It's called Profit and Loss Standard. And when you click on it, what's going to happen is the Gemstar Productions financial statement, profit and loss statement, is going to show up here. If for some reason you have too many errors to fix in QuickBooks, you can use this spreadsheet. Just put in there a column for budget, and then for each item in the first column, simply type in a number, okay? The only requirement for the budget is that your budget numbers cannot be the same as the ones from your assignment 2. So if you give me a budget that says event revenue is 11,400 and the budget is 11,400, you're not going to get any points. Okay, so they have to be different. Now, for those of you that score well on assignment 2, then I want you to use QuickBooks to do your budget. And let me just go into, oops, wrong thing. We go into QuickBooks here. And if you look over on the top of your program, you're going to find there's a gear-like thing here. So when you click on it, you got a bunch of options here. Go under Tools, and you're going to see there's an object here called Budgeting. Okay, so we want to add a budget, and what you can do is for the name, you can type in the fiscal year if you want. Okay, so 2018. You want it to be a monthly budget. You have no pre-filled data, and you don't want to subdivide it. So when you do this, what's going to show up here is all the accounts that are in your Gemstar company that are either revenue accounts or expense accounts. They're all going to be listed here. And we're in the month of May. So you're going to be asked to budget just for the month of May. Now, let's pretend I don't have any of these accounts in here because this is a sample company, but let's pretend we want to put a budget in for design income. So I go over to the May column. Okay. Oops, hang on a second. Uh-oh, I'm stuck. Hang on a second. Let's see if that does it. Okay, that did it. All right, so after you type in the name, then you hit the next button on the bottom, and then you can come in here and budget for whatever it is you want to budget. So for instance, let's say we want to budget for fees billed. Okay, so simply come over here to the month of May and type in the amount you want to put in there. Okay, do the same thing for the rest of the items. So you're going to end up literally putting in 8 numbers in this thing, and that's all you're going to have. Okay, so when you get that done, get those 8 numbers in the month of May, then you want to say save. Okay, so it's been saved. And what you also want to do is to go to the edit button, and you have a report you need to run. And that report is called Run Budgets versus Actuals Report. So Run Budgets versus Actuals Report. Okay, we don't need to customize. So this shows you month by month. It shows you each month of the budget. You can see, hang on here. Okay, you can see for the month of May, those are the 3 numbers that I just put in there. All right, so once you get this report run, then you're going to want to run it for May 1st through May 31st. And you want to say run report. All right, so once you do that, you're going to end up with this document here. And the first column is going to be your actual performance from assignment 2. Your second column is the budget you're going to be putting in. The third column is the difference between the two. And then the fourth column is the percent that the actual number is of the budget. So for instance, this one down here, net operating income is negative $34. Negative $34 divided by 1656 is going to be a negative 2.05%. Okay, so once you have your variances, which is the over budget column, okay, some of your variances may be positive, i.e. maybe your budget number for an expense was higher than the actual expense. Well, that's a positive thing. Some may be negative, like for instance, if your event revenue actual is 11,400 and your budget was 12,000, that means you did not meet the gold for sales for that month, and that would be a negative factor. All right, when everything's said and done, then you'll do like you always have. You'll go ahead and export it to Excel, and you'll be good to go. So very simple. Go into the gear, go into budgeting, type in the name of your budget, hit the next button on the bottom, put in 8 numbers in the May column, change the date from May 1st to May 31st, run the report, and then export it to Excel. It's just that simple. Okay, does anyone have any questions regarding the procedure? I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a big deal to it at all. I would venture a guess it's going to take you longer to do the internal controls than it ever will to do the budget. Just remember, on the budget, I don't care what the numbers are, as long as they are different than what's in the actual column. If their budget numbers are exactly the same as what's in the actual column, then you'll get 0 points for doing the budget. They have to be different. The reason for that is that you need a variance between the actual and budget number, because you're going to have to talk about that variance on week 4's assignment. Okay, if there's no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and thank you for showing up. I'm going to exit out of the training so I can save the file, and we can go from there. I'm getting some questions. Let me see your question here. Let's see. What's the document that you attached in this assignment? The profit and loss standard? No, you're going to attach this budget report here. The budget report is the budget versus actual report, and that's what needs to be gone in there. Okay, no other questions? All right. I told you this was going to be a short session, and that's pretty much it. So I thank you all for coming. Tony, you have some more questions here, I see. When you say you can hand type the budget, I'm not sure what you mean. You got 100 on assignment 2, so you should use the budget module that's in the software.
So I'll use the second assignment documents to hand type it into my budget, right? Or do I create a new budget?
No, you're gonna have a brand new budget. You don't have a budget right now.
Yeah, I know. I don't have it. Yeah, but I have to create a new one.
Yes, you do. And that's because the numbers that are from assignment 2 are not the budget, they're the actual numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll create my budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any number, right? Like no.
As long as they're different from what was in assignment 2.
Oh, you mean okay, gotcha.
So event revenue in assignment 2 was 11,400. Your budget can be larger than that or smaller than that. I don't care what it is. It just has to be different.
So I'll do 8 of it, right?
Whatever you. Yeah, there's 8 accounts. There's 7 expenses and 1 revenue account. So you need 8 budget numbers.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.